Don't kill me, Amanda begged. Camilla Pell still held the knife to Amanda's throat. Camilla looked at Cameron, who calmly watched. He shrugged at Camilla. She rolled her eyes coldly and at last put down her knife. As soon as the knife no longer touched her neck, Amanda's legs went weak with relief and she fell to the ground. See? That's the kind of thing you may cry about, not some seat assignment. Free lesson for you. Camilla scoffed at Amanda as she whimpered on the floor. Cameron took one cold look at Amanda before turning around and walking out. Camilla tucked her knife away and followed her brother. She turned back briefly and added, "The next person who invites us to this club is dead." The crowd that gathered during the commotion moved aside to make room for Cameron and Camilla to walk by. Everyone stared in fear as the twins left without looking back. Meanwhile, Olivia and Morgana made it back to Olivia's house. When they opened the door, they heard a loud argument. Olivia and Morgana exchanged confused glances. "Are you done yet?" Michael asked. "Can you not be so childish?" "I'm the one who's being childish. You still have the nerve to call me childish. Let me tell you, this isn't over." Olivia pursed her lips. This is not at all what I hoped, she thought. She thought the two of them spending so much time together away would help them get closer. What happened? Why are they arguing like this? Olivia wondered, disappointed. "Victoria, we're back!" Morgana shouted to announce their presence. Victoria and Michael came in one after the other, looking harried. Both of their faces lit up with smiles as soon as they saw Olivia. Her mother pulled her into a big hug. "How have you been? I missed you so much," Victoria exclaimed. "Tell me everything." Michael looked like he wanted to ask Olivia questions as well, and gave her a hug, but Victoria wouldn't let her go. "Everything is pretty good," Olivia smiled. "What was going on with you two when we walked in just now?" "Would you like to explain, or should I?" Victoria asked Michael. He threw his hands up defensively. "I guess I will then." Victoria rolled her eyes. "As soon as we got back, you turned right back into a video game addict. He doesn't help me with anything, just gaming, gaming, gaming." "I took a break for over a month. What's wrong with playing just 2 games now that we're back?" Michael exclaimed. "Besides, you were playing too. You only got mad about the game after you lost." "I was hoping you would stop after that if I joined in for one," Victoria argued. "I give up." Olivia and Morgana exchanged sideways glances. Olivia had worried something worse was going on, but of course they were arguing about the game again. Michael opened his mouth to say more, but Morgana could not take it anymore. She thought of the first thing that might make them stop arguing. "Olivia and I just got back from school and we're starving. Is there anything to eat?" "Oh dear," Victoria thought. "I also just got back and haven't made anything yet." Victoria prided herself on being the kind of hostess who was always ready to feed someone, whether they knew they were hungry yet or not. She hated not having anything ready, but it couldn't be helped in this situation. Michael knew one of Victoria's worst nightmares was not having food ready when someone was hungry at the house. "Then let's go out to eat," Michael offered quickly. He didn't want Victoria to feel guilty, and besides, they were tired from traveling and just reunited with their daughter. "This is no time to cook. I'll treat you ladies to a nice meal." "Okay." Morgana's eyes lit up. "How about steak and lobster?" "Steak and lobster it is, if that sounds good to everyone." Michael agreed. "That's fine with me. Let's go now since the girls are hungry." Victoria smiled at Morgana. She was grateful for Michael's suggestion, too. Olivia was pleased that her father had thought of her mom's feelings so quickly. "You're getting it." Victoria turned to Olivia and Morgana excitedly. "I got you both a few things on the trip. I can show you after dinner." "Really? Gifts for me?" Morgana's eyes sparkled with joy. She never expected this kind of thing from anyone, much less someone else's parents. "Of course," Michael smiled, amused by Morgana's reaction. She really went to town. I think she was making up for lost shopping time after so many years away from Europe. I was reasonable, Victoria said indignantly. I know, I was just joking, Michael teased. Stop laughing, Victoria argued, but Olivia interrupted. Come on, let's go and eat, Olivia urged as she pulled Victoria towards the door. Dad, Morgana, hurry up. If you don't get them out of here now, they'll never stop arguing, Olivia thought, exasperated. The four of them finally left the house and went to a highly rated steakhouse in town that also specialized in seafood. It was the kind of place where diners picked out their fresh lobster, and it was sent to the kitchen to be cooked. The restaurant was still relatively new after opening just a few years prior, but business was booming. It was booked up for months, but when Olivia arrived and asked for a table for herself and her family, the manager quickly added them to the wait list. He was pleased to accommodate the most famous young businesswoman in New York. Morgana pulled Victoria to the lobster tank to choose their lobsters. Olivia and Michael hung back to chat. I couldn't help keeping up with the news while we were away, Michael said. Johnson Inc. Dad, it's not Johnson Inc. anymore. You probably read about that, Olivia interrupted. Grandpa Jack and Uncle Bruno abandoned it. They went to London to develop over there. After I took over the company, I was worried that they would cause trouble for the brand in the future, and I was worried about others with malicious intentions causing problems too. So I changed the name to Park Inc. It's just Park Inc. now. There is no more Johnson Inc. Olivia had a hint of apology in her voice. She didn't know how her father would feel about all of these changes. They had all happened while her parents were away, and Olivia hadn't had to think about it. Right, Michael said quietly. Although he understood Olivia's reasoning, he could not help feeling saddened. The legacy had lasted for so many years, and he had run the company for so long under the Johnson name. In many ways, he had dedicated half his life to that company. It was hard to think of it having a different name than his own. Even if he had walked away, he still had all of the memories, and it was impossible to completely forget and not have any complicated feelings. I think I just didn't expect so many changes and for them to happen so fast while I was away, he reasoned. Olivia understood what her father was saying. Jack and Bruno Johnson had left, and now the family business name was gone as well. It's a difficult feeling to describe, Michael said to Olivia thoughtfully. Like a tree suddenly without its roots. Olivia realized her father might blame himself for the demise of everything he knew because he walked away from the family business. That was the last thing she wanted him to think. Oh, Dad, Olivia said gently, and reached out to take Michael's hand. I know it's strange and even painful now, but it's not your fault. Not really mine either. It's a change with some loss, sure, but with growth in mind. Just think of it as going to the next step. Grandpa Jack and Bruno are going their own way too. But I'm here and Mom is here. Our home is here together. Michael nodded and smiled wistfully. How did I get such a wise daughter? Are you sure you're only 18? He teased. Olivia chuckled knowingly and waved her hand. Dad, I learned a lot from you and Mom. Michael let out a deep sigh. His daughter was right. People needed to look forward, not backward. Now that Victoria and Olivia, his family, were all here, he also wanted to make a fresh start in New York. You're right. I should be following your lead. You've accomplished so much in such a short amount of time. Way more than I did at your age. Don't worry, Dad. I'm going to have you be more involved than ever. I still need my dad. She smiled at him. She felt emotions rising in her throat and quickly changed the subject. How are things for you and Mom in Europe? Did Grandpa make things difficult for you? Olivia asked. Well, Michael hesitated. That might be for another time. Olivia searched her father's face for any clues. What happened between my mom and dad while they were in Europe? And why won't he tell me? What is my dad not telling me? Olivia wondered as she searched Michael's face for any clues. He did not give anything away, which frustrated Olivia. Her parents had just gotten back from several weeks spent together with Victoria's family, and Olivia had hoped that her mom and dad spending all of that time together would be good for their relationship. But Michael was being strangely evasive, and it made Olivia feel like something bad had happened. But she didn't want to press the issue and ruin the mood by having him explain it at that moment. She decided to leave it alone for now. "We did it!" Morgana announced as she and Victoria returned to the waiting area to join Olivia and Michael. "We chose some giant lobsters. I mean real whoppers. The big daddies." "It's definitely enough to feed us twice." Victoria agreed and laughed appreciatively at Morgana's enthusiasm. She seemed to remember something and turned to Olivia. "Olivia, Morgana mentioned that Millie and Lena had invited you both over, but you declined so that you could have dinner with us. That was so sweet to prioritize us. Why don't you give them a call and invite them to join us? If they hadn't had dinner yet, we'd love to have them eat with us." "Really? You don't mind?" Olivia asked, pleasantly surprised. She had assumed her parents might want to catch up with them alone after having been away for so long. "Mom really is a sweetheart." Olivia smiled to herself. "Okay, I'll go call them right now." Olivia nodded. She looked around for a spot to make the call, but every corner of the restaurant was crowded and noisy. "I'm just going to step outside." Olivia pointed to the door and took out her phone. After Olivia left, Morgana slyly pulled a menu from near the host desk and looked it over. "They serve drinks while you wait. Anyone want anything?" "I'm all right, but you go ahead and get whatever you'd like," Michael answered. "Okay." Morgana nodded and bounded away to the bar. Michael and Victoria were left alone together. Victoria leaned over to Michael so she could be heard over the noise. "I should have asked if I could tell Olivia to extend the invitation to Millie and Lena since it was your idea to take us out," Victoria said apologetically. Michael casually waved his hand. "Nonsense, I'm happy to have them. It's not often that we can have everyone together enjoying themselves like this. The more the merrier." Victoria smiled appreciatively. The host returned to his station and Michael approached. "We're going to need to add 2 more to our party," Michael explained. The host nodded. "How many totals do you have?" "That will make 6, Michael answered. "We really appreciate it." Michael thought for a moment, then added, "Could we make that for a private room, just something a little quieter?" Michael requested. "Oh, we'll manage," Victoria protested. "This is still my treat. We want to be able to hear each other, don't we?" Michael smiled. "That's very thoughtful." Victoria nodded. "Of course, we have a room we can take you to now," the host confirmed. "They will lead you in a moment." The host gestured to a waiter to the left. "I'll go and check on Olivia and we'll find Morgana. Why don't you find the waiter to the room and we'll see you there?" Michael suggested. "This way, please." The waiter nodded and walked deeper into the restaurant with Victoria following behind. They walked past many tables and down a hallway with glass walls on one side that looked out into the restaurant. They finally reached an empty private room with a sign on the door that said, "The Ivory Cow Room." "The Ivory Cow," Victoria chuckled as she read the sign. "What an interesting name." Victoria thanked the waiter and took out her phone to text Michael and Olivia to look for the Ivory Cow Room. As she hit send, Victoria looked up in time as a man walking down the same hallway bumped into her. "Sorry," Victoria said quickly as she stumbled from the impact and dropped her phone. She bent down to pick it up as the man apologized. "Victoria?" The man suddenly sounded happy to see her. Victoria looked up and recognized the man as her coworker. "Nate, what a coincidence!" she exclaimed in surprise. Nate Evans smiled back at Victoria. "When did you get back into town?" he asked. "Just today," Victoria answered in a friendly manner. "I'll be back in the office tomorrow." Great. Everyone will be really happy to see you. You were really missed." Nate smiled. "I missed you the most," Nate thought. That's so nice of you to say. I missed everyone too, Victoria said. She felt bad for having been gone so long. Across the way, their other coworker, Lisa, exited the restroom, and her eyes immediately landed on Nate chatting with Victoria. The sight of Nate smiling adoringly at Victoria as they talked sent her into a rage. This throws a wrench in all of my plans, Lisa fumed. I literally got Nate and his parents to come out to dinner with me and my parents for my father's birthday. Both of our parents agreeing to get together obviously means they want Nate and me to reconcile. Everything was going great until Victoria just showed up. Lisa thought about her parents sitting with Nate's parents back at their table on the other side of the busy restaurant. They had all been waiting for Nate to return after he suddenly excused himself for a moment and left the table, leaving them to awkwardly wait. He had not even explained where he was going or for how long. How dare he just take off the second he saw Victoria at the restaurant? What about me? I'm young, beautiful, smart, and accomplished. What does Victoria have that I don't? Victoria is so much older, with an 18-year-old daughter already. Who would prefer that? And she broke up with the Johnson family. That's what she does. She ruins people's happiness. Lisa clenched her fists at her sides as her angry thoughts came in hot and fast. She could not stand to see Victoria getting in way of her and Nate once again. Back in Nate and Victoria's conversation, Nate reached up and touched Victoria's hair. There seems to be something in your hair, he said as he plucked out a small piece of paper. Oh, thank you. Victoria stammered and self-consciously touched her own hair, hoping nothing else was in it. Lisa frowned as she watched them and finally marched over to them, her sky-high heels clicking against the marble floor. She fixed a fake smile on her face as she approached. Nate, where did you disappear off to? Our parents are waiting. I was starting to think you left. Lisa giggled with an undertone of impatience. Oh, hi, Lisa, you're here too. Victoria smiled and nodded. Looking from Lisa to Nate, she wondered about what Lisa was hoping to come of this dinner between their two families. Victoria remembered that Lisa had deliberately made things difficult for the finance department. However, it was up to Nate whether he cared about that or not. Maybe he had moved on. Victoria, what a pleasant surprise. Lisa smiled tightly and touched Nate's arm. Such a small world. Indeed, Victoria nodded. Of course, we would all run into each other at one of the most popular restaurants in New York City, she thought. Victoria started to feel uncomfortable standing there with the two of them. Besides, Lisa had mentioned their parents were waiting for them. I better wrangle my family into our room here before they give away our table, Victoria said politely. We'll leave you to it, Lisa responded a little too enthusiastically. She hated pretending to be on good terms. Victoria acts like such a goody two-shoes. How does Nate fall for that? So you're here with your daughter then? Nate asked, trying to sound casual. Yes, and a few of her friends. Michael's here too, Victoria added. Oh, Nate said, trying to hide his disappointment. I see. Nate, let's stop keeping Victoria. Lisa leaned closer to Nate. Our parents are waiting too. I'll see you both later. Victoria nodded politely and turned to leave. She made it down to the end of the hall where she heard Nate's voice calling out after her. Wait! Nate blurted as he pulled away from Lisa and walked quickly to catch up with Victoria. Victoria turned around, alarmed by Nate's sudden outburst. Is everything all right? She asked, eyes wide with concern. Lisa watched from the spot where Nate had abandoned her and seethed. That damn Victoria is always spoiling things for me. Why can't Nate see that she's damaged goods? Victoria searched Nate's face for an answer. Finally, he spoke. I need to ask you something, Nate said as he looked into Victoria's eyes. Victoria was taken aback. What does Nate need to ask me that's so important he had to chase after me? Victoria held her breath, waiting for Nate to ask his question. Why is he just standing there not saying anything? Nate cleared his throat. I wanted to ask you, Will you be in the office tomorrow? Victoria was stunned. This was the all-important question he needed to ask her. Yes, I'll be back to work tomorrow, Victoria confirmed. She had a feeling that Nate had something else on his mind, and she found herself wishing that he would spit it out and, simultaneously, that he would keep it to himself. Meanwhile, Lisa stood at the other end of the hall staring daggers at Victoria. Nate just shrugged me off to chase after Victoria. Is he for real? How can this be happening? We're supposed to get back together. Our parents are in the other room waiting for us. We might be broken up right now, but we fell in love once and we can fall in love again. How could Nate possibly yearn for Victoria instead of me? She's an old divorcee still tangled up with her ex-husband. Ew! Lisa gritted her teeth the more she thought about it. It was another knife twisting in her heart. Why her, of all people? Victoria blinked at Nate. Is that all? She asked hesitantly. No, Nate asked too abruptly, then smiled self-consciously. He looked back at Victoria. Can I ask you a more personal question? Victoria took a tiny step backward, confused. More personal? That depends on what it is. You can ask, but if I think it's too personal, I might choose not to answer. Nate laughed. I just want to ask about your time off. The application for your paid time off said that you were going overseas to visit your family. Oh, Victoria said, surprised. That's right, it was for my father's birthday. I went to visit him. Victoria nodded. Is there a problem? Did I not fill out the request with enough details? I didn't mean to mess up any rules. She was genuinely confused as to what might have gone wrong, or why Nate was bringing this up so urgently. No, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm just curious as a friend. Nate shrugged. I noticed Michael was away at the same time. Did he go with you? Nate tried to make the question sound casual. It was anything but. Yes, Victoria replied slowly. She was taken aback by Nate's question. My daughter was worried about me traveling abroad by myself on such a long trip, so she asked for him to accompany me. Right, of course. Nate pursed his lips at this information. One last question. He paused before continuing. Are you and Michael getting back together? Nate kept his face serious, but his heart rattled in his chest as he asked the question. He felt completely out of control. He desperately wanted to know if there was any hope with Victoria, or if she was back together with Michael. Nate always knew that Michael joined Confluence Technology for her. Michael was a lot to compete with for Victoria's affection. I'm younger and don't have as much money and power as Michael Johnson, but I have my own qualities to offer. I could still have a chance, he thought. No. Victoria shook her head, confused. She was completely befuddled by the question. It was strange and rude. She privately remembered that she had promised Michael she would consider giving them another chance and think about what that might involve. The possibility of getting engaged again wasn't so far-fetched, but that was not actually on the table right now. Regardless, it was bizarre for Nate to ask her about it. She was at a loss for words. Really? Nate asked, and his eyes lit up. His heart pounded and his mind reeled with renewed hope. That's all I needed to hear. Nothing else matters. As long as they aren't getting married, anything is still possible. I still have a chance, and I won't give up. You two aren't back together? Lisa frowned when she heard Victoria's answer to Nate's question and marched over to join them. She could no longer hold back her frustration. Why did Michael go with her to visit her father then? Seems a little over-familiar. Everyone in New York knows that you're all basically living together as a family. And you're going to say with a straight face that you're not back together. You're an even bigger tramp than I thought. Victoria and Nate stared at Lisa, stunned into silence by her outburst. A strong voice broke the silence, surprising all of them. Even though we broke up all those years ago, Victoria's father is still one of the men I respect the most, Michael said, stepping closer to the trio. And he is still Olivia's grandfather. Of course I'd go to see him. Is there a law against paying your respects to someone on their birthday? Or is there some other rule you know better than I do? Lisa? Lisa did not expect Michael to suddenly appear and hear what she had said. Her eyes widened and she looked like she wanted to disappear into a hole in the ground. Victoria looked at Michael and smiled. She was relieved to see him after being cornered by Nate and Lisa for so long. That didn't mean what it sounded like. This is just a misunderstanding. Lisa stammered at Michael and Victoria. She felt a new flare of jealousy seeing Michael defend Victoria. Victoria just has the attention of every man at our office, doesn't she? Seriously, what is so great about her? There you are, this place is so huge, Morgana said as she rounded the corner, balancing 3 different drinks in her hands. Victoria, try the pink one. It's strawberry. You'll love it. Thank you, dear. Victoria smiled and accepted the strawberry drink from Morgana. She immediately tasted the delicious sweetness of the fruit with just the right hint of tartness. Oh, that is very good. Victoria agreed, taking another sip. That's all I'll have for now. I don't want to get too full before dinner. That doesn't happen to me, Morgana said proudly. I am a bottomless pit. I'll see you at work. Victoria nodded politely at Nate to put their awkward conversation to an end now that Morgana was there. All right, Nate nodded. He awkwardly reached out to touch Victoria's shoulder. Goodbye, Nate, Michael said curtly. See you at the office tomorrow. Nate dropped his hand. See you then, Nate said coolly. The 2 men met each other's eyes and the hostility was palpable. Just then the waiter found Michael, Victoria, and Morgana and gestured toward the ivory cow room. Right in here, this way. Victoria waved goodbye to Nate and Lisa, then turned and chatted with Morgana as they headed toward the private room. Michael followed behind them. Nate watched the 3 of them walk away down the hall together, and he felt a pang in his heart. In spite of the pain that seeing Victoria slip away brought him, he swore he would not give up. I will only try harder. She has an 18-year-old daughter, and now another one has appeared? Lisa snorted, referring to Morgana. She might as well be another kid. I don't know where she came from. Watch what you say. Surprised you didn't learn that from when Michael caught you just now. Nate snapped at Lisa. Stop trying to talk bad about Victoria. I won't allow it. What? Lisa exclaimed in shock. But Nate, I'm your... My what? Nate sneered. Former girlfriend? Lisa reacted to Nate's use of the word former as if he had slapped her in the face. She shook her head in disbelief. Nate, I know you better than anyone. I love you the most. How can you... Not this again. Nate groaned disdainfully. We can't go back. Why don't you understand that? Nate had had enough. The reason they broke up so long ago was because Lisa cheated in the first place. What reasoning could she possibly have to get back together? She's delusional. Then she called up my parents and conspired with them to trick me into meeting her here for dinner. They told me they wanted to celebrate Dad's birthday. But then I got here and we're talking about finding a woman to marry? The joke's on all of you. The woman I really want to marry just walked down the hall with another man. Nate, you're out of your mind. You really have lost it. Lisa shook her head. Victoria has you under some kind of spell. You're not thinking straight. You can't blame everything on Victoria. Your own psycho behavior is plenty to make me not interested, okay? Nate snapped. How do you not understand that? You're right. I don't understand it at all. Lisa spat. What's so special about Victoria? She's so old. Maybe not enough to be your mother, but certainly an aunt at least. You stay out of it. Nate turned and marched away from Lisa. No, don't leave. You can't. Lisa begged. She hurried after Nate and pulled at his arm. Our parents are here. You can't just walk out on them. Can't I? You all tricked me into coming here tonight. Why shouldn't I leave? Nate demanded. Everyone is plotting behind my back today, like I wouldn't notice. Lisa gritted her teeth. Nate, if you leave right now, I will never forgive you. Lisa's mind was spiraling in a jealous rage. I have to do something about Victoria Park. God, I wish I could wring her pretty little neck. You'll never forgive me? Nate asked incredulously. Forgive me for what? Nate looked at Lisa like she was a rat that had just dropped from the ceiling. When Lisa didn't answer, Nate pressed on. What are you even talking about? We're not together anymore. Nate could not believe this conversation was really happening at that moment. Was Lisa always this crazy when we were together? Was I blind? What happened? I can't just let you leave. Lisa blinked, unable to accept what he was saying to her. How can he leave right now? How can he look at me like I'm crazy? He has no idea how hurtful he's being. He's just upset about Victoria. He wouldn't say these things if he wasn't. Nate, Lisa begged. I love you so much. Now you want to just walk away from me? We used to be so happy. Maybe, but who destroyed that all by themselves? Nate asked. He really could not wrap his mind around Lisa's version of events. You were the one who blew everything up before, remember? Not me. Lisa took a deep breath and thought carefully. She had to explain things to Nate so that he would understand. She realized that maybe she'd not apologized enough for her previous transgressions. That would explain why he's being so difficult. Lisa thought to herself. Nate, I know you're still upset with me. It was really all just a misunderstanding back then. I admit that I did make some mistakes, but you can't just throw everything away because of my little mistake. Forget it. I'm done. Nate threw up his hands. He knew he wasn't getting anywhere with her. I'm done trying to talk to you about this. I give up. Nate turned around and took a step towards the exit. Nate, you can't leave. Lisa grabbed onto Nate's arm and held onto it tightly. Nate sighed a deep, tired sigh. I never should have come here tonight, he thought. Please, listen to me, you... Lisa suddenly stopped short when she saw 3 people staring at them down from the hall. The one in front looked familiar to her. Nate followed Lisa's gaze and turned around to see the 3 people standing there watching them. Hey! Lena hissed at Millie and tugged at her hand. I think we should go. It's so cringe and horrible I can't look away. Millie whispered back. Should we go find our table? Yes, otherwise Morgana might eat everything. She's amazing that way. Olivia said, and took a step to lead the way. Olivia! Nate called out to face the awkwardness head on. He did not think Victoria's daughter and her friends would see his messy argument with Lisa. Victoria, your mom, she went that way. He pointed awkwardly in the direction of the ivory cow room. Miss Johnson, Lisa greeted Olivia through gritted teeth. I wish your parents all the best. Thank you, Olivia said, confused. Where did that come from? She's such a smart lady. I'm sure she knows to keep her eyes on her own man instead of messing around with others, Lisa said with venom in her voice. Oh my God, are you drunk? Nate asked, mortified. I'll pass the message along, thanks, Olivia said sarcastically. Truthfully, she was amused by the absurdity of the situation. She thought for a moment, then added, I have a suggestion for you too. If a man doesn't love you at all, the best thing to do is stop chasing him. Otherwise, you're just embarrassing yourself. Olivia's eyes lingered on Lisa's hands that tightly held onto Nate's arm. Olivia smiled. It's really not a good look. You little... Lisa fumed. We'll leave you two alone. Olivia walked past them, trying not to laugh. You can continue whatever this is in private. She breezed past Nate and Lisa. Millie and Lena followed closely after her. You have no idea what you're talking about. You don't know anything that's involved. What gives you the right to say anything? Lisa shouted after Olivia. Lisa didn't care about making a scene anymore. She had changed since college. She had learned that life was short and no one had time to waste. She was in love with Nate, and she had to fight for it. If she didn't marry him soon, what would she have left? She was running out of time. She didn't want much out of life. As long as Nate could be with her, everything else would be okay. Nate and I are perfect for each other, she thought frantically. We understand each other better than anyone. It has to be him. What gives me the right to say anything? Olivia asked, turning back to Lisa. You're one to talk. Why do you hurl insults about my mother when you have no idea what you're talking about? Just think about it. Olivia smirked and finally turned around the corner with her friends. Once they turned the corner and walked a bit further ahead, all three girls burst out laughing. Did you see her? She looked like she was going to explode. Lena had her hands over her mouth. How was she not drunk? She had to be drunk. How else is she going to talk her way out of that? Millie covered her eyes at the memory. How old is she again? That was so embarrassing. I can't bear to think about it. Just remembering it is so uncomfortable. Millie cringed. Why was she saying that stuff about your mom? Can she say that stuff about your mom? Lena gasped in disbelief at what they had just witnessed. I have no idea. Lisa has always had it out for her. Clearly, she's gone crazy over Nate. We'll see what happens. Olivia laughed. I definitely enjoyed putting her in her place. Olivia thought to herself as they made their way to the private dining room. Back in the hallway, Lisa was so furious she stomped her feet and cursed loudly. That little rat has some real nerve, just like her mother. Lisa thought, the whole family is a basket of snakes. Damn them all. Nate yanked his arm away from Lisa while she was busy fuming over Olivia and her parents. He hurried away from her while he had the chance. He had more than enough. Nate? Nate, wait, come back! Lisa called after Nate over and over, but he did not turn around. She was so angry that her blood boiled and her face turned red. I was so close. This was my chance. He only needed to have a good conversation with our parents over dinner, and he would have listened to them. He would be with me. This is all Victoria's fault. She ruined everything. Lisa gritted her teeth. She knew Nate had been distracted by Victoria. If she wanted to get Nate's attention back, she had to start with Nate's parents. Lisa snorted at the thought. I am not losing to Victoria. Lisa clenched her fist determined and returned to the table with her and Nate's parents. Where's Nate? Nate's father asked curiously. I thought I heard someone calling his name, but that would be strange. I could be mistaken. Oh, Nate, yes. Lisa forced a smile. There was trouble with work. Nate had to head over to the office suddenly. Nate's mother dropped her fork down onto her plate angrily. What makes him think he can disrespect us like that? Just leave without saying anything? What could possibly be going on at work that can't be figured out tomorrow? That son of ours. Nate's father snorted with disdain. Lisa, that's kind of you, but you don't have to make excuses for him. Of course he would pull a stunt like this. He has no respect for us. I'm just sorry he did this to all of you as well. He gestured apologetically at Lisa and her parents. It's one thing to do it to us, but our old friends, I can't understand it. Don't worry, he must have had something important. Work is work. We won't read into it. Lisa's father poured a glass of wine for Nate's parents and shrugged nonchalantly. We can still all enjoy each other's company. Well, I'm terribly sorry in any case, Nate's father said as he lifted the glass of wine. To each other's company, he said, and they clinked glasses before drinking. He sighed deeply. I suppose that's what we get for not teaching our son better. Lisa's parents continued talking pleasantly with Nate's parents while Lisa sat quietly in the middle, distracted from their conversation. She stared at the empty place setting across from her seat. That is where Nate should be right now, sitting across from me laughing and enjoying himself just like old times. Then he'd be reminded of how good we are together, how much our families make sense together. We belong together. Instead, he's run away from me like I'm some kind of villain. The real villain here is Victoria. Lisa smiled menacingly to herself, and no one noticed since they were busy talking. I'll make him see Victoria for the wicked old witch she really is, and bring him back to me. And if that doesn't work, I'll find some way to get rid of Victoria for good. So, Lisa, Nate's mother began, her voice dripping with the same kind of curiosity usually reserved for juicy neighborhood gossip. What's the real story behind you and our Nate calling it quits? Lisa was jolted out of her violent thoughts by this sudden line of questioning. Nate's father joined in. Did you two really mesh, or was it like trying to charge a phone with the wrong cable? Just not compatible. Lisa, attempting to embody the image of innocence, looked like a deer caught in headlights trying to pass a lie detector test. Her voice as sweet as artificially flavored candy. It's all just a terrible misunderstanding. Nate's mother leaned forward, her eyes wide with anticipation, while his father nodded, his face a picture of earnest bewilderment. You see, Lisa continued, Nate thinks I cheated on him, which is just absurd. She clutched her pearls as if she were auditioning for the lead role in a melodrama. Cheated, you say? Nate's father asked, his eyebrows arching so high they could have found a new home in his hairline. How scandalous. Lisa nodded emphatically, her eyes welling up with the kind of tears you'd find at a B- grade movie climax. I would never do such a thing. I was just helping a colleague with some paperwork late one evening, and Nate saw us and jumped to the most outrageous conclusions. Nate's mother gasped, covering her mouth, while his father stroked his chin as if he were a detective on the brink of solving a high-profile case. Helping with paperwork, and that leads to a breakup? My, the corporate world is more thrilling than I thought. Lisa sighed dramatically. I have always been devoted to Nate. He's such a wonderful man. But he just can't see the truth through his jealousy. As she laid it on thick, Nate's parents hung on to her every word, their faces a mix of shock and sympathy. Nate's mother's eyes brimmed with tears, while his father looked like he was witnessing a tragic romance. Nate's mother reached across the table, her hand shaking as if she were about to touch a fragile piece of art. You poor dear, she consoled. Nate's father, nodding along, offered, Maybe we should talk to Nate about this. Sounds like a classic case of miscommunication. Lisa let out a dramatic sigh. I'm just afraid that won't help, she said, trying her hardest to look as sorrowful as a kid who just watched their ice cream fall to the ground. Nate's parents exchanged a confused glance. Nate's mother, her expression a mix of concern and curiosity, leaned in. Why do you think it won't help, dear? Nate's father, nodding in agreement, reassured Lisa. Nate has great respect for her opinions. He always has. Lisa, still playing her role as the victim, looked at Nate's parents with eyes as wide and innocent as a fawn in headlights. I know he respects your opinions immensely, but... She paused for effect. I also know that Nate has his eyes on someone else. The revelation hit Nate's parents like a plot twist. Someone else? Nate's mother gasped, her voice laced with disbelief. Nate hasn't mentioned being interested in anyone. Lisa leaned in, her voice low and conspiratorial, as if she were divulging state secrets. It was a shock to me, too, but he's interested in one of their coworkers. The shock on Nate's parents' faces deepened. A coworker? Nate's mother echoed, her brows knitting in confusion. Nate knows how messy dating a colleague can be. Nate's father reasoned. He would have mentioned something like this to us. Lisa leaned in, her voice a whisper of intrigue. But it's true. He has feelings for someone at work. The parents looked like they were trying to piece together a jigsaw puzzle with missing pieces. Nate's mother, ever the inquisitor, leaned forward. Ooh, Who is he interested in? Lisa put on a show of hesitance, her demeanor as if she were guarding a state secret. Oh, I've probably said too much already. I shouldn't give more details. But we need to know, Nate's mother insisted. Lisa feigned hesitation, looking like someone trying to decide whether to share a juicy secret or keep it to themselves. I probably said too much already. I shouldn't give more details. But Nate's parents were like hounds on a scent. Come on, Lisa, who is it? Nate's father urged, his tone a mix of eagerness and impatience. We're just concerned about Nate, Nate's mother persisted, her voice tinged with a mix of worry and intrigue. Lisa gazed at Nate's parents, who were practically on the edge of their seats, desperate for information. I understand you're worried about Nate, Lisa said, her voice dripping with concern. Nate's parents nodded earnestly, their faces etched with parental concern. I'm worried about him too, she continued, her voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. She leaned in closer, and Nate's parents mirrored her, leaning in like two detectives about to crack a case. He has feelings for his subordinate, Lisa divulged, her voice barely above a whisper. Victoria Park. Nate's mother and father exchanged a confused glance. Who's Victoria Park? Nate's father asked, his brow furrowing in puzzlement. Lisa's mind raced. This was her chance to spin the narrative. Perfect timing to paint Victoria in the worst possible light, she thought devilishly. Planting seeds of doubt in Nate's parents' minds could be just the thing I need to turn him against her. Well, Victoria is, let's just say she's quite a bit older than Nate, Lisa began, her tone suggesting scandal. Nate's mother's eyes widened. Older? We wouldn't want Nate dating someone much older. It's not suitable. Nate's father nodded in agreement, his expression one of concern. Yeah, an age gap can bring complications. Lisa, seizing the moment, added, and she's divorced too. Even though Lisa knew that technically wasn't true, as Michael and Victoria had never gotten married, she knew the D word would get the reaction she wanted. Nate's mother clutched her pearls, her face a mask of shock. Divorced? Oh, we definitely don't want Nate mixed up with someone who's been through that. It's just too much baggage. And there's more, Lisa continued, her voice oozing with the satisfaction of someone dropping a bombshell. She has a child. A child? Nate's father echoed, his tone incredulous. Yes, an 18-year-old daughter, Lisa replied, emphasizing the age for effect. Nate's mother gasped. 18? Nate's far too young to play stepdad to someone that age. Lisa leaned in even closer, her voice dropping to a dramatic hush. But you haven't heard the worst part. The worst part? Nate's parents echoed in unison, their eyes wide with apprehension. Lisa nodded gravely. Victoria's ex-husband is the CEO of the company they work for. He's also the father of her child, and they all live together, pretending to be one big happy family. They even had a dog at some point. The reaction from Nate's parents was instant and dramatic. His mother's hands flew to her mouth, and his father's jaw dropped in disbelief. That's just too much. Nate's mother shook her head vehemently. We can't allow Nate to ruin his life by getting involved with someone like that. Nate's father added, his voice firm. Dating a coworker is one thing, but a woman with that much baggage, that's too much for Nate to handle. We need to protect him, Nate's mother declared, her voice laden with determination. Agreed, Nate's father said, nodding vigorously. We can't let this happen. We have to do something. Nate's always been such a level-headed young man, Nate's mother continued, wringing her napkin in her hands, lost in her spiraling thoughts. I just can't believe he'd get himself entangled in such a soap opera. Nate's father, scratching his chin thoughtfully, added, and living with her ex-husband, too? That's just asking for trouble. A dog, you say? That almost sounds like they're playing house. Lisa nodded solemnly, playing up her role as the concerned ex-girlfriend. I know. It's hard to believe. Nate's always been so sensible, but sometimes the heart just doesn't listen to reason. Nate's mother leaned in, her eyes searching Lisa's. But why would Nate fall for someone like that? It just doesn't make any sense. Lisa shrugged, her expression a perfect blend of sympathy and helplessness. Sometimes we just can't explain these things. I mean, Victoria's situation is just so complicated. Nate's father shook his head, his expression one of a man trying to solve an impossible puzzle. This is all so unexpected. We thought we knew Nate, but this is just out of left field. And an 18-year-old daughter, Nate's mother repeated, still struggling to wrap her mind around it. Nate's barely older than that himself. Lisa sighed dramatically. Her performance would have earned her an Oscar in the category of Best Actress in a Dining Drama. I just thought you should know. I care about Nate, and I don't want you to be blindsided by this. Nate's parents, propelled by a newfound sense of urgency, abruptly stood up from the table, their chairs scraping back with a determination that echoed their resolve. The sudden movement caught Lisa off guard, her eyes widening in shock. What are you about to do? Lisa asked, her voice laced with a mix of surprise and apprehension. Nate's father, his expression set in a firm line, turned to Lisa. We're going to solve this Victoria problem once and for all. In a frenzy of internal panic, Lisa watched Nate's parents, determined to intervene. Oh no, what have I done? She thought frantically. If they confront Nate, he might spill everything. That I actually cheated on him in college. No, they can't know. They can't know anything. In a desperate move, Lisa lunged forward, planting herself firmly in front of Nate's mother and father. Their confusion was etched all over their faces, a mixture of surprise and bewilderment. What are you doing, Lisa? Nate's mother asked, her tone laced with confusion. Lisa's mind raced. She had no plan, just sheer panic. I don't think you should go over to Nate, she blurted out, her voice tinged with desperation. Why shouldn't we? Nate's father pressed, his eyebrows furrowing in concern. We can't let him continue with Victoria Park. Lisa scrambled for an answer. You have to let Nate be a man and do things on his own, she said, her voice shaky but determined. Nate's mother's expression softened. But Nate is just my beautiful baby boy, she murmured, her maternal instincts on full display. Thanks, that's alarming, Lisa thought, cringing inwardly. Aloud, she said, You should trust Nate and his decisions. He's a grown man after all. We clearly can't trust Nate if he's not thinking clearly, Nate's father countered, his tone firm. As they tried to step around her, Lisa blocked their path again. Please, just hear me out, she pleaded. Nate's mother looked at Lisa, her patience wearing thin. Lisa, you need to get out of the way. Lisa held her ground. I get why you wouldn't want Nate with someone like Victoria Park. But if you confront him now, you'll look like the bad guys and probably push Nate right into Victoria's arms and into her bizarre living situation. Continuing, Lisa added, Be the bigger people. Let Nate see Victoria for who she really is. Nate's parents paused, considering Lisa's words. The logic seemed to resonate with them, their expression shifting from determination to contemplation. You know, Nate's father finally said, You might have a point. Nate's mother nodded slowly. We don't want to push him away. Turning to Lisa, she added, I just don't understand why Nate wouldn't want to be with a smart and thoughtful woman like you. Nate's father chimed in. You're clearly a better match for Nate than a divorced mom living with her ex-husband. Nate's mother's face lit up with resolve. We will do whatever we can to make sure you two end up together. Lisa smiled, her relief evident. Thank you, both of you. That means so much to me." With that, Nate's parents turned and left the restaurant. Lisa watched them go, her heart still racing, but now with a sense of relief washing over her. She had managed to redirect the narrative and keep her secret safe. For now. As the restaurant buzzed around her, Lisa allowed herself a moment of triumph. As Lisa turned around, her triumphant smile froze upon seeing Olivia standing right behind her. Oh shit, not her. Anyone but her. I'm so tired of her. Lisa's mind raced, her internal panic rising like a crescendo. Lisa and Olivia exchanged a long, loaded glance, with Lisa trying to gauge what Olivia might do next. "Are you going to tell Nate what you just witnessed?" Lisa asked, her voice tight with apprehension. Olivia pondered, her thoughts swirling. It would be so satisfying to tell Nate that Lisa was lying to his parents just to win him back, she mused internally. But then she decided, no, that's not how I want Lisa to get caught. Let her dig her own grave. Out loud, Olivia said coolly, "I'm not going to tell Nate a word." Lisa's eyes narrowed, trying to decipher Olivia's angle. "Why not? What's your game here?" Olivia, relishing the chance to play mind games, responded with an enigmatic smile. "I just don't want to tell Nate what I heard because I have other plans." Confusion and suspicion clouded Lisa's face, her eyebrows knitting together as she tried to figure out Olivia's elusive meaning. Standing taller, Lisa squared her shoulders and shot back. "Well, you can tell Victoria to stay away from my man." Olivia couldn't help but let out a snarky chuckle. "Nate is clearly not your man," she pointed out with a smirk. With that, Olivia turned on her heel and walked away, leaving Lisa to stew in her frustration. Watching Olivia's retreating figure, Lisa muttered under her breath, "Little witch," her mind already racing with new strategies to win Nate back and foil whatever plans Olivia might have. Olivia made her way back to her family's private room at the restaurant. As she entered, she noticed Victoria and Michael, her parents, acting like a couple utterly in love. They sat closely, sharing quiet laughs and tender glances that spoke of a deep, unspoken bond. Michael's hand was gently resting on Victoria's, and their eyes sparkled with the warmth that only years of shared history could ignite. Watching them, Olivia couldn't help but smile. Her internal thoughts swirled with affection. "It's so nice to see them like this, in love," she mused. "They look so beautiful together, and it's clear they care about each other so much." Her gaze lingered on her mother, Victoria. Olivia sighed softly, her heart filled with a mix of happiness and concern. Mom has been through so much with Dad. There always seems to be an obstacle between her and the Johnsons. It would just be so sad if her heart gets broken by him again. As she continued to watch them, her thoughts took a decisive turn. In the end, I just want Mom to be happy. It doesn't matter who she's with as long as she's truly happy. Olivia's eyes held a glint of resolve and love as she observed her parents, silently hoping for their happiness. But something nagged at the back of her mind. Michael had hinted that something bad had happened on their trip. Olivia wondered if it would affect her parents' fragile relationship. Across town, Nate was back at home, sunk deep in a funk and still hungry, having barely touched his food at the restaurant. He shuffled to the kitchen, intent on whipping up something quick, when an unexpected knock at the door caught him off guard. "Who could that be?" he mumbled to himself, his confusion evident as he walked towards the door. When he opened the door, his expression shifted to shock. Standing before him were his parents. His mother immediately engulfed him in a hug, exclaiming, "Oh, my sweet baby boy." Nate awkwardly hugged her back, patting her on the shoulder, while his father strolled into his apartment. "Mom, Dad, what are you doing here?" Nate asked, a bewildered look on his face. His father, with a stern look, wasted no time. "Nate, we need to talk. We don't want you to be with Victoria Park." Nate blinked, taken aback. "What are you talking about? We know all about the Victoria Park. his mother chimed in. And you deserve much better, Nate. So much better. You're such a beautiful boy. Nate's confusion deepened, his mind racing to connect the dots. How do you even know about me and Victoria? His father interjected. It's not about how we know. It's about why you shouldn't be with her. She's older than you, Nate, and has a child. You don't need that kind of responsibility. Nate opened his mouth to speak, but his mother cut him off. An 18-year-old stepdaughter is too much, Nate. You shouldn't take on that responsibility. Divorces are complicated, son. His father continued. Dating a woman with a divorce comes with more problems than you can handle. Nate's mother nodded vigorously. Especially a woman still living with her ex-husband. That must mean she's still in love with him. It could only end in heartbreak for you. Victoria Park is not the woman for you, Nate. You cannot be with her. His father concluded, his tone final. Nate's frustration boiled over. I fully plan on pursuing Victoria, and I'll fight Michael for her if it comes to that, he declared defiantly. Now I need you to leave. I know you tricked me and were only in town to try and get me and Lisa back together. His parents were taken aback, shock written all over their faces. But Nate, his mother protested. Nate, firm in his resolve, escorted his parents to the door. You're breaking your mother's heart, his father said, his voice heavy with disappointment. I'm just trying to protect you, his mother added, her eyes welling with tears. The only thing you should be worrying about is a mom's heart condition, not my love, Nate retorted, his voice laced with exasperation. With that, he closed the door on his parents, leaving them standing outside, stunned. Nate's father sighed, looking at the closed door. That didn't go well. His mother, upset and determined, stomped off. What are you going to do? Nate's father called after her. I'm going to find Victoria and confront her myself, she declared, her voice echoing with resolve. That was incredible. Back at the seafood restaurant, Morgana patted her stomach in satisfaction. Millie and Lena were getting ready to leave. They turned to their hosts with warm smiles. Thanks for a wonderful dinner, Millie said, her appreciation evident in her voice. Lena chimed in. Yeah, it was really great. Thank you so much. Michael, with a gracious nod, replied, You're very welcome. Anytime, it was our pleasure to have you both. Victoria, who had been listening to the exchange, asked, Are you girls leaving now? Lena nodded. Yeah, we have to get back home to our rabbits. They're probably wondering where their dinner is. Victoria laughed at the thought. Make sure to get home safe, she said with a maternal tone. We will, Millie assured her. Before leaving, Millie and Lena gave Olivia a tight hug. Get home safe and call me when you get there, Olivia instructed, her concern for her friends evident. We will, don't worry, Lena assured her. And with that, Millie and Lena made their way out of the restaurant. On their walk home, Lena turned to Millie. We need to stop at a store to buy some fruit and carrots for the rabbits. They must be starving. Millie laughed. Those rabbits eat more than any pet I've ever had. It's like running a mini farm. Lena giggled. You're not wrong. I swear they're plotting to take over the kitchen one of these days. Can you imagine walking in and find them cooking carrot soup? Millie joked, her eyes twinkling with mirth. Lena joined in the playful banter. Oh, they'd probably be wearing little chef hats, too. Millie snorted with laughter. I'd pay to see that. We should start charging them rent for all the food they eat. Good idea, Lena said with a mock serious nod. Maybe we could put them to work. Rabbit lawn mowing service, anyone? Or rabbit therapists? Millie suggested. You just cuddle them and all your worries disappear. Perfect. We'll be entrepreneurs, Lena declared. The Rabbit Relaxation Retreat. Come for the cuddles, stay for the carrot cake. Millie and Lena entered the market, the air filled with the fresh scent of produce. They made their way to the fruits and vegetables section, picking out the best carrots and fruits for their rabbits. While examining a bunch of carrots, Lena nonchalantly said, "So, I wanted to know, is it just me, or is Olivia's dad kind of hot?" Millie burst into laughter, almost dropping the apples she was holding. "Hot? Olivia's dad?" she exclaimed between giggles. "You can't be serious." Lena, with an exaggerated sigh, insisted, "Come on, he's got that distinguished, charming vibe like a movie star from the old romantic films." Millie shook her head, still chuckling. "You're seeing things, Lena. He's just a regular dad. Olivia would freak if she heard you." Their banter was interrupted by the sudden appearance of two men dressed in sleek black suits. They materialized behind Millie with an air of ominous authority. "Miss, you need to come with us," one of them said in a stern, commanding voice. Instantly, the laughter died on Millie and Lena's lips, replaced by a palpable fear. They exchanged terrified glances. Millie stammered, "You've got the wrong person. I haven't done anything." The men were unyielding. "We don't have the wrong person," the other man said, his grip tightening on Millie's arm. Millie screamed, "Lena, help!" as she struggled against their iron grip. Lena, panicked and desperate, muttered to herself, Lena, think, you have to save Millie." In a moment of frantic inspiration, Lena grabbed a handful of oranges from a nearby stall and hurled them at the men. Oranges flew through the air, pelting the men in their head and across their faces. The unexpected fruity assault caused the men to stagger backward, loosening their grip on Millie. Seizing the moment, Millie and Lena bolted from the store, their hearts pounding in their chests. They sprinted out of the store, not daring to look back, fear fueling their every step. Once they were a safe distance away, Millie, panting and shaking, said, "What just happened? Who were those guys?" Lena, equally out of breath and bewildered, replied, "I have no idea, but we need to tell someone. This is serious." They continued their hurried escape, the night air chilling against their flushed faces. The market's bright lights faded into the distance as they navigated the darkened streets. Millie and Lena, gasping for breath, were nearing their apartment building when they spotted two more men in black suits standing ominously at the entrance. They immediately froze in their tracks. "Oh my God, Lena, what did we do?" Millie whispered, her eyes wide with fear. Just then, one of the men turned slightly in their direction. Instinctively, Millie and Lena ducked behind a nearby bush. "We need to hide and stay out of their view," Lena hissed, her mind racing. "Maybe we should head back to the restaurant," Millie suggested, her voice trembling. Lena shook her head. "No, it's too far. They'll see us for sure before we can get away." "But how are we going to get into our apartment?" Millie's voice cracked with desperation. Lena let out a frustrated sigh. "This would be a really great time to have superpowers." "Can we get in through the back?" Millie pondered aloud. Lena glanced towards the building. "I think they'll still see you, Millie. Why are these guys even after you?" Millie shook her head, bewildered. "I have no idea. I haven't done anything." Lena looked back at the men, a plan forming in her mind. "They're not after me. I can go to them as a distraction while you sneak into the building." "No way, Lena," Millie objected immediately. "They're too dangerous. You could get hurt. I couldn't live with myself if something happened to you." "It's clear they're only after you, Millie. I'll be okay," Lena reassured her, though her heart was pounding in her chest. Millie nodded hesitantly, her worry for Lena evident in her eyes. "Okay, but only if you're sure." Lena gave Millie a determined nod. "Stay put until the coast is clear." Taking a deep breath to gather her courage, Lena stepped out from their hiding spot and began walking towards the men. With each step, her heart pounded louder in her ears. Her palms were sweaty and her mind raced with what she would do or say. The men's imposing figures loomed larger as she approached, their suits like dark shadows against the night. Lena tried to maintain a calm exterior, but inside, she was a whirlwind of nerves and fear. As she got closer, the men's stern expressions came into focus. Lena steeled herself, ready to enact her plan and hoping beyond hope that it would work. As Lena cautiously approached the men in black suits, their expressions shifted from alertness to confusion. They weren't expecting her to walk up to them voluntarily. One of the men, narrowing his eyes, asked, "Where's your friend?" Lena, doing her best to appear nonchalant, replied, "I don't know. I lost her when we were running away." The man looked visibly annoyed at this response. He turned slightly, speaking into a mysterious voice in his headset. "We couldn't find Millie, but we got her friend here." There was a brief pause before the voice replied, instructing them to relay a message. The man turned back to Lena. "Tell your friend Millie that the young master will be by to speak with her in a few days." Confused, Lena couldn't help but ask, "Who's your young master?" The man's lips curled into a slight smirk. "Mason Crawford." Lena's confusion deepened as she watched the men get into their car and drive away. Mason Crawford, she thought. After the men left, Lena hurried back to Millie. "Coast is clear," she said, still trying to process what just happened. "What did they want?" Millie asked, her voice shaky. Lena relayed the message. "They said Mason Crawford will be by to speak with you in a few days." Millie and Lena exchanged a puzzled look. "Mason Crawford? What could he possibly want with me?" As soon as they got into their apartment, they immediately called Olivia. Frantically, Millie and Lena recounted the entire ordeal with the men in suits and the mysterious Mason Crawford. Olivia listened intently, her expression growing increasingly serious. "Be very careful, both of you," she warned. "The Crawfords are not to be trusted." Millie and Lena exchanged worried glances. "What do you think they want with me?" Millie asked, her voice tinged with fear. Olivia shook her head. "I don't know, but whatever it is, it can't be good. Just lay low and be cautious. I'll see if I can find out more." "Thanks, Olivia. We'll be careful," Lena promised, though the unease in her voice was unmistakable. After ending the call, Millie and Lena sat in silence, the weight of the situation settling heavily over them. The name Mason Crawford echoed in their minds. "I'm nobody," Millie thought with growing concern. "Why would these dangerous people want me? Is it because of my past?" Millie and Lena were attacked by mysterious men. Olivia gravely informed Chris over the phone. He took this in, disturbed but going into professional mode. She recounted everything she'd heard that had happened to her friends. Chris sighed. "Thank you for telling me. Speaking of which, I have some odd news that is possibly related. Mason Crawford just arrived in London this afternoon on the way to New York. He must have found something." Olivia was intrigued. "What do you think he found?" Chris spoke carefully. "I'm still investigating this for the time being, but I will let you know if there's anything concrete." "I want to meet with Mason when he's in the city," Olivia pronounced boldly. "If he's behind this weird attack, I need to see him right away. I have to make sure Millie and Lena are safe." Chris smiled. He loved how brave Olivia was and how fiercely she defended her friends. "Do you want me to go with you? Couldn't hurt to have backup." "Thank you so much for offering, but no need. I know you're busy." Olivia smiled as well, glowing just as warmly as he did at his generosity. She could take care of herself, but she liked that he was there if she wanted him. Was all he said in response, disappointed. "What's wrong?" Olivia asked, confused. "Do you have to go? I can hang up." "No, nothing. It's just—" Chris debated over whether to share what was on his mind. What is it, Chris?" She wished he would just spit it out. "Nothing. Forget it," Chris replied firmly. "Pay attention to your own safety. If you see anything off, anything at all, call me immediately." "I will," Olivia agreed, worried about what he wasn't saying. "If you need me to do something or if there's anything I need to know, please tell me. I want to hear it." She knew Chris could take care of himself, but she wished she could help him out of a tight spot again. He aided her a lot in the past, and if anyone could use a helping hand from someone with supernatural powers, it was him. Chris thought for a moment, then whispered something barely audible. "The best thing you can do for me is keep yourself safe, Olivia. I really hope all of the dangerous stuff comes my way and I can just handle it before you even see anything." Olivia smiled, hugging herself with her free hand. "I have a completely different ideal scenario in my mind." "Huh?" Chris was surprised. "What do you want?" "I like that you protect me," she began, biting her lip as she decided how to articulate this. "But I want to protect you too." She could hear in his voice that he smiled back affectionately. "I know you will. You have before." They each mumbled things about needing to get to the rest of their days, then said goodbye and hung up. Olivia processed the conversation thoughtfully. What had Chris wanted to tell her? And what was Mason Crawford doing in New York? "Olivia, I made you a snack," Victoria called from the kitchen. "Okay." Olivia left her room and walked out to join her mom. She was surprised that she didn't see her dad around anywhere. She asked Victoria about this as she entered. "Mom, where's Dad? He's not obsessively gaming again, is he?" Victoria sighed, shrugging. "I'm honestly not sure where he ran off to. I thought he might have gone to the office." Morgana entered the kitchen in a long, silky ombre dress. "Hey, Victoria, do I look good in this?" She noticed with the start that Victoria was there too. "Oh, yes, both of you, tell me. The color is really strange. Why would I want to wear a purple dress that looks like it's been dipped in blood?" Olivia laughed. The purple to red gradient could be interpreted that way. "I think it's pretty and looks a little bohemian, but if you don't like it, you don't like it." Victoria tilted her head, assessing the dress on Morgana. "We got that when we were visiting this tiny town on our trip to Europe. It's some silk alternative they make by hand there." Morgana said as she thought, swishing her hips back and forth. "I do like that it feels cold to wear. And the shininess kind of reminds me of a beetle. I think I do find it pretty after all." "That's great." Victoria smiled and beckoned. "Come on, I just cut up some peaches and cheese. Do you want some?" "Okay." Morgana hopped onto a bar stool at the counter and shook her bare feet. The silver bells on an anklet she wore made a crisp, twinkling sound. Olivia checked out the anklet. "That's really pretty. Did you get that from my mom, too?" "No," Victoria said, leaning over to look at it as she put plates of fruit in front of Olivia and Morgana. "It is pretty. I love it." Morgana dug into her snack as she responded, "Thank you. These bells belong to my family. It's a gift for every new venom witch because the sound is supposed to drive away unwanted insects while we learn to harness them." "Why haven't I seen you wear it before?" Olivia asked, curious. "Brent said it makes me sound like I'm someone's pet." Morgana wrinkled her nose as she remembered. "I hadn't put it on for a long time, but I do like it." "Not at all," Victoria protested. "It's very cute. He must have been trying to joke with you and was bad at it." "He's such a bully," Morgana sighed. "He always was suspicious of whether I did all my lessons from the master who taught both of us. He would check up on my homework all the time. He would also add weird assignments, like telling me to memorize the Odyssey in 3 days. He said he did it no problem. He's simply not human." Olivia nodded with a sympathetic look. "He does seem like he can be a cold guy, even though he's great at what he does. Honestly, when I found out he had a younger sister, I was surprised. I think because that makes him seem more human." "Who was this master?" Victoria blinked. "Was he good to you? I guess I hadn't thought about what kind of person would teach venom witchcraft, but now I'm worried." Victoria didn't pretend to understand half of what Morgana talked about, but she knew this strange girl was special and uniquely talented at something. Morgana considered this. "He only beat me a couple of times for how I did in my lessons. I still have the scars on my hands, though." "Well, that's horrible," Victoria cried. "Did you ever take revenge on him?" Olivia asked. "You're so dangerous and powerful." "I only am because of him. He's way scarier than I can ever be. Morgana sighed. And besides, some of the Venom Masters use poison worms on their students to kill them in very miserable ways if they are disappointed. Mine never did that, so I figured I should be grateful. This is so crazy, Olivia exclaimed. But she added in her mind to herself that someone who raised Brent and Morgana probably wouldn't be an ordinary person. I did leave my master's side when I wasn't exactly supposed to, even though I felt I had a good reason at the time. Morgana looked sadly at her peaches. I don't know how he feels about me now. If you miss him, you can go back and find out, Olivia suggested. You could see if he's good to you or get out of there as quickly as possible if he's not. I can't go back. Morgana shook her head vigorously. Like I said, he's too powerful. He knows everything. He's a master of astronomy, astrology, geography, and mysterious travel through space and time. His house is also strange in an unexplainable way. I can choose to leave it, but I can't choose to go in. He has to invite me. Brent seems to be able to go in and out, but sometimes becomes trapped there for a long time. Victoria's jaw hung open. I think this is over my head. As Morgana turned to her fruit, Olivia whispered to Victoria, Morgana's always saying crazy stuff. Who knows how much of it is actually true? A house you can leave but not go in? Travel through space and time? Victoria nodded, looking comforted. You're right, I get too caught up in it. She laughed a little. How did I let myself believe that? It really is crazy. Olivia smiled, but then a thought nagged at her. What if it was true? Brent did tend to disappear for long periods of time before resurfacing. She also never would have believed anything about venom witchcraft and Morgana's bugs if she hadn't seen them with her own eyes. Was it true? Was Brent sometimes trapped in the mysterious, otherworldly house of a violent master when he wasn't with them? I have mysterious powers myself, Olivia thought darkly. It's not too crazy to imagine other people might have them too. But what if they're more powerful than me? The next morning, Victoria, Michael, Olivia and Morgana all left the apartment building at the same time, splitting from each other as Victoria and Michael took a town car to Confluence, and the young women took a car to school. At Marshall, as Olivia and her friends took their seats in Adam's classroom, Lena was still breathlessly recounting the mysterious event that had happened to her and Millie. I was scared to death. I could feel my heart pounding in my throat. I really don't know what Mason Crawford is going to do when he gets here. Lena took a beat, then realized something with a start. Millie, do you think Mason, likes you? Millie rolled her eyes. Yeah, sure, so many people are after me. Why not him too? I guess it's his turn after all. Camilla and Cameron Pell happened to walk into the classroom at this exact moment, hearing that, but Millie did not see. Camilla turned to Cameron, teasing. She signed, Oh no, your bookworm is so popular. Cameron's face turned red and he looked away from his sister. Olivia laughed at Millie's joke. You shouldn't say that sarcastically, Millie. You're such a catch. You have that whole hot librarian vibe going on. If I weren't with Chris, I might be trying to marry you. Millie rolled her eyes. Well, if it weren't for the terrifying advances of Mason Crawford, I guess I might be saying yes. Lena laughed. Yeah, hard to resist someone who orchestrates a big chase and attack. Camilla and Cameron joined their conversation, and Camilla spoke up, curious. Who is this? Mason Crawford? Lena blinked, looking at Olivia. Maybe, but maybe also it was someone whose name sounds just like that. My cousin, Jason Lawford. Olivia laughed. I think we can tell the Pells. Mason Crawford is arriving in New York and said he wants to pay a visit to Millie. We're trying to guess if this is courtship or what. Camilla frowned slightly and looked at Cameron. The Crawfords' territory did not include New York. They weren't supposed to set foot in the city because it was zoned for the Pells family's illegal activities. Both of them thought at the same time. What could this mean? Displeasure was clearly written across Cameron's face. The Crawford family had already made an agreement with the Pells. Was Mason deliberately causing trouble in New York for some reason right now? What's wrong? Olivia asked Cameron and Camilla. "Why do you look so serious?" "It's nothing, it's just—" Camilla really didn't know what to say. "Hey, forget it, it's nothing." Olivia nodded. She could tell Camilla didn't want to say anything, and she knew Camilla well enough to know she shouldn't ask at this moment, but flagged it in her mind as something she wanted to know at some point. The bell rang for class anyway, so everyone took their seats. Their teacher breezed into the classroom and asked about everyone's days, but all the students seemed similarly quiet and serious. He told everyone to crack open their books. Millie always treasured the fact that she and Cameron sat right next to each other, but she didn't dare to turn her head to look at him today. She felt embarrassed because he overheard her joking about having many love interests, even though she wished she could just explain that she only had one that mattered, and his name was Cameron. She didn't say anything to Cameron for most of the morning, but at some point Cameron reached out and gave her a piece of paper. Trying not to turn her head to look, she put her fingers on the paper to take it from him. Their fingers gently touched as he retracted his hands back to his desk. This simple action, at least according to Cameron, was the best part of the day. He treasured the small interaction they'd already had, and also the waiting for her response. The anticipation crackled between the two of them. He was so tempted just to turn her towards him and kiss her. Millie opened the note and looked at the words in tiny, neat handwriting. "Good morning." She smirked as she wrote back. "Morning." She playfully drew a small smile on the side and pushed the paper back to his desk. After a few moments in which she absorbed literally none of the teacher's lesson, Cameron passed her reply again. Millie flipped open the note and saw a smiley face that was similar to the one that she drew, but bigger. She was a little confused. Maybe he was just being playful and silly, but she didn't want to draw that conclusion if that's not what he intended. She drew a question mark and slid the note back. After a while, Cameron replied once more. "I'm very happy today. Very, very happy." Millie read in Cameron's note. She wrote back, "I wonder what you're so happy about. I wish I knew more and could make fun of you for it." Just as Millie handed the note back to Cameron, the teacher asked Millie to answer the question. Millie froze. For a moment she panicked, having no idea what to say. "Millie," the teacher repeated her name. "Is question 19 so difficult? You usually know all the answers. I'm surprised at you. Although it's an extension of the subject, the major points should be applicable." Millie heard the teacher's words and her cheeks burned in shame. She quickly glanced at the question. "It's not difficult, it's just that there are 2 ways to solve the question and I don't know which one to say." "Wow," kids muttered around the classroom in different variations. Everyone who cared about their classes looked up to her already, and they were impressed by this answer. The teacher hesitated. "That's good, just go ahead and pick either one." Of course," Millie answered off the top of her head, roughly explaining her thoughts. The teacher nodded in approval. "Yes, that's the best way, thank you, Millie. Does everyone else understand?" The students all nodded. "I think you should all just jot down what Millie just said because of all the options available, she did choose the most elegant one." Millie's cheeks flushed again, but with pride this time as the sound of pens scratching on paper filled the air. Millie let out a long breath. She'd almost gotten caught not paying attention, but she recovered and did so very well. But that moment still felt dangerous. Just then, she noticed Cameron place the note back on her desk. She opened it and was initially confused, but then her cheeks flushed so deeply that she buried her face on the table and did not lift it. "Millie, what happened to you?" the teacher asked. "Are you not feeling well?" "No, it's fine," Millie replied, shaking her head, feeling her ears burning. If she looked up, everyone would see that she was as deeply red as a tomato. It was so embarrassing. She even told Cameron that she wanted to make fun of him, and now he had the ammo to make fun of her. "Okay, if you're sure." The teacher narrowed his eyes suspiciously. "If you're not feeling well, tell me as soon as you can. Keep your fellow students healthy, don't be a hero." "Okay," said Millie in a muffled voice. "Let's continue to the next question," the teacher instructed, and everyone's attention had finally moved on from Millie. Cameron had a smile on his face, his gentle eyes full of affection for Millie. After class, Olivia, Lena, and Morgana surrounded Millie. Olivia asked, "Millie, what happened to you in the middle of the lesson?" Cameron had gotten up swiftly, dodged around the girls, and walked out with Camilla. None of them thought this was odd because usually the twins were inseparable. "It's nothing," Millie said quickly, not wanting to talk about it. Lena spied the folded note pressed under Millie's elbow. She snatched it, lifting it away from Millie. "What's this now?" Before Millie had time to stop it, Lena read it aloud. "I think it's my turn after all?" Lena thought for a beat, then turned desperately to Millie. "What the hell does this mean, Millie? Why was this so embarrassing?" "Nothing," Millie insisted, turning her head, but her eyes coincidentally met Olivia's. At the teasing look on Olivia's face, because she understood perfectly, Millie felt even more embarrassed. "Huh?" Morgana said. "What is it?" Millie put her head back down on her desk, explaining to her friends in a muffled voice. "Cameron came into the classroom right as I said Mason must have a crush on me because all the other boys do. So it's his turn, after all. Cameron's note said, I think it's my turn, after all." Lena gasped. "That's so good." All the young women laughed, including Millie, as she held her hands over her face. There was no going back now. Her feelings for Cameron were out in the open, and it seemed like his feelings for her were too. But something about it made her feel guilty. Am I even allowed to be happy? Millie wondered. Everyone I get close to ends up hurt. I can't let that happen to Cameron. Olivia took the afternoon off of school and walked outside to where a sleek white car idled for her at the school gate. Olivia opened the door as Violet impatiently said, "All right, let's go." Olivia closed her door, puzzled, and the car started moving. "Why are you in such a hurry?" Olivia asked. "We found out that Mason Crawford is coming into New York City." Violet answered grimly. "I know," Olivia said, still confused about why this was some sort of emergency. Violet continued, feeling Olivia wasn't understanding the gravity of the situation. New York is not the Crawford family's territory. He can't stay for long. He's not supposed to be here at all. Olivia was surprised. "What do you mean?" Violet understood finally that Olivia just had not been given the background information she needed. She explained patiently. The Pell family and Crawford family have a lot of rival businesses. To end the bloodshed between them many years ago, they made a truce by dividing up the major cities of the world into territories where they either are allowed to do business or not allowed to set foot there. Olivia raised her eyebrows, taking this in. She frowned. "I had no idea. Didn't I just see them both in Paris?" Violet nodded. Paris and London are the only neutral cities where they can each go for now. "Wow," Olivia intoned. It was now more striking that Mason was risking a trip to New York City. Why was he taking a chance to restart a violent old family feud? The Crawford family and the Pell family both do have their source of dirty money. Violet spoke like she was trying to put this as delicately as possible. Without this division, they could go back to a time of a lot of unnecessary trouble. "I understand," Olivia answered. "Is there something going on in the Crawford family recently that would make this visit make sense?" Violet shook her head. "Not that I've heard of. Do you want Team B to go check it out?" "I don't think so," Olivia replied. "Chris is investigating for us, and I think he'll find what we need quickly enough. Team B is still targeting the Rose family." Violet pressed her lips together. "I hope you are right. That reminds me." Violet snapped her fingers at the realization. Since the last time we spoke, Mark DeLillo from the Rose family seemed to have received some mysterious person's financial aid. Olivia frowned. She never enjoyed hearing about Mark DeLillo, finding it difficult not to flash back to the years in her last lifetime of their sham relationship and the sight of his cruel face as he murdered her. "Mysterious person, what do you mean?" She sighed. She had so many mysterious people moving chess pieces just outside her view to keep track of. Violet closed her eyes, making sure she recalled all the details correctly. Recently, he's been active on the outskirts of New York City and bought a lot of shops. Since I found this suspicious, Team B investigated and found that the money in his new account was transferred from a small bank in England. The person who opened the account wasn't real. It was opened under a false identity. Someone is sending him funds and they want to hide who they are. Olivia frowned. Got it. It seemed she could not wait to find out all she could about the Rose family. She had to know who was funding the activities of Mark DeLillo. Olivia worried to herself. Is this the same mysterious person who's targeting me from other places too? Whoever they are, their power is not small. So many enemies are around me in the dark. Or maybe just one. She felt very uncomfortable thinking about this, but it also awoke her fighting spirit. She wanted to personally unveil the mysterious person or people. She wanted to see exactly where they came from and what they wanted from her. Why was she a target? At the same time, in a coffee shop at the edge of Central Park, two women sat across from each other on either side of a tiny metal table. There was an awkward tension in the air. Victoria Park smiled weakly at the other woman as she used a spoon to stir sugar into her mug. She did not understand why Nate Evans' mother wanted to meet with her and buy her this coffee. She dreaded coming here, even though it had been a last-minute invitation and she didn't have too much time to think about it. Victoria was in the middle of the first day back at work after her vacation away with Michael, so she was swamped with many things to accomplish and catch up on. She was so caught off guard by this woman calling her out of the blue, though, that she could not have imagined refusing her. Victoria thought to herself as she glanced again at this impeccably dressed, icy wasp queen. She's so scary. Why won't she leave me alone? I have no idea what she wants to talk to me about. Honestly, Nate had better be dying. But the strange, terrifying woman would not break the silence. After a long while, Victoria finally did, clearing her throat. I have to be honest, I don't know why you called me here today. You? Nate's mother shook her head bitterly. You are Victoria Park, correct? Victoria thought this was a strange question. The woman obviously knew that she was Victoria Park. Yes, I am. Is something wrong? Not particularly, yet. Nate's mother straightened her chunky diamond-encrusted rings. It is often that I hear my son mention you, and say that he is often taken care of by you. I visit with him often, and I also wanted to pay a visit to someone who is such a generous friend to him. Oh, no need. Victoria exhaled, feeling relieved but still confused. Nate is open-minded, kind, and capable at work. He's the one who takes care of me at work and everyone else who works for him, I swear. His mother gave a light, rehearsed-sounding laugh. Well, as a mother, I never get tired of hearing people praise my son, no matter who is doing the praising. Victoria blinked, but Nate's mother continued. You are also a mother, is that right? Yes, Victoria answered, nodding, smiling at the thought of Olivia. I have a daughter who's 18 years old. Nate's mother raised her eyebrows. You look so young and charming. I really could not tell that you already had an 18-year-old daughter. Victoria was certain she heard it at this time. Another backhanded compliment. But Nate's mom didn't give her the opportunity to collect herself enough to reply. 18 is not so young anymore. She's such a big girl. Is she still in high school? She is, Victoria answered, her warmth dimmed. She is a big girl, but she still gets herself into a share of trouble. Has my son met your daughter? The woman asked slyly. He has? Victoria nodded, unsure why she asked that. Nate's mother looked disappointed. You know, it's so funny to realize. She began as though she were saying something amusing, but Victoria had the sense that it would be another underhandedly insulting comment. Nate and your daughter may have more in common than you and him do. And you and I may have more in common than you and him do. I don't know if that's true. Victoria disagreed, confused. I don't know that an 18-year-old has anything in common with an adult man. Victoria frowned. You know, it seems you have something you'd like to say to me, and I think you should just come out and say it. You've come all the way here to treat me to coffee. We might as well be direct with each other. Nate's mother laughed stiffly again. What could I have to say? I am just a mother taking an interest in my son's life. I suppose. Victoria nodded, still suspicious. Nate has always been so popular ever since he was young, his mother said dreamily. He was always an outstanding student. He's been very active, well-liked, well-behaved, but I don't know why he's found himself a little bit of a rebellious streak recently. He's been less loyal to me and his father. The woman carefully studied Victoria's expression as she said this. Victoria smiled. Disloyal? It's a little late for him to reveal himself to be a traitor, right? Don't people usually rebel in their teen years? I think people in his age, in their 20s, can still seem like children, but he's never appeared that way. Nate's mother's eye twitched, then recomposed her icy exterior. I will not beat around the bush. I know a young man like him has time to make romantic mistakes, but obviously women do not have the same luxury as they age. Victoria was more confused than ever. I'm really not sure what you're talking about, Mrs. Evans. Then let me be clear, the older woman said as she leaned closer, her voice turning icy. My son is making a huge mistake, and I won't sit by and let that happen.